There are more than 12,000 known species of ants worldwide, and all of them communicate with each other in fascinating ways. But one of the most incredible aspects of ant communication is how they are able to share information about the quality and location of food sources with each other. Hi, it's me, and this is my channel. You might think that would be easy for ants to communicate, because they have a stinky spray, a pheromone they use to mark trails to food sources. But it turns out that chemical signals aren't the only way ants keep in touch, and their stinky spray isn't quite as simple as we thought. First off, some ant species don't even use pheromones to communicate. Take the leafcutter ants of the genus Atta, and these ants famously cut up leaves and carry them back to their nest, where they farm them into a fungus that the ants eat. In the 1930s, scientists noticed that when a leafcutter ant was carrying a leaf back to its nest, another ant would sometimes come over and take a bite out of it. And after it did, it would start doing the same thing, cutting up leaves and carrying them back to the nest. Scientists now think that these ants use a form of imitation to share information about what a good food source looks like. But why don't they just use chemical signals? Pheromones can be helpful because they stick around in the environment long after the animal that released them has moved on. That means other ants can follow the scent to find that resource. But there are problems with this strategy too. Like when conditions change, those chemical signals can stick around and confuse ants looking for fresh information. Plus, lots of different resources might smell basically the same. So if an ant wants to be clear about what it's found, it needs more sophisticated communication skills. And many ants have evolved to do just that. When an ant finds a new food source, it leaves behind a pheromone trail leading back to the nest. Other ants can follow that trail and figure out what's at the nest, but it's still a pretty general signal. It's like the ant version of saying, "Hey, come over here, there's food." But the ants can do better than that. Some species will actually bring back pieces of the plant they've found and put them at the entrance of the nest. Then other ants can see those pieces and get much more specific information about what kind of plant it is and where it grows. This visual signal lets the second ant know exactly what kind of food awaits at the end of the trail. Other ant species combine visual and chemical signals. They build little piles of soil or leaves at the entrance to the nest as landmarks, and they also deposit the chemicals that make up their scent trails there too. That way, when another ant approaches the nest, it can see the pile and know that the pheromone it smells is attached to that pile, so it knows it's a message meant just for it. But some ant species have taken things a step further. The master gardeners of the world, those famous leafcutter ants, use all these communication methods, but they have one more trick up their little ant sleeves. When they leave the nest to go foraging, they send scouts ahead of them. Those scouts check out different plants, and if they find something worth eating, they come back and tell the others by tapping the ants back at the nest with their abdomen. Tapping releases a pheromone that tells the other ants to follow them. The foragers then line up and follow the pheromone trail to the new food source. It's not exactly clear how the ants know which plants are worth eating and which aren't. Maybe they recognize certain plants from their visual cues. Or maybe they use their sense of touch to feel for specific shapes or textures. But somehow these ants can share information about a food source without bringing any samples back to the nest or leaving chemical trails behind. And while these super communicators have figured out some amazing ways to share information, they still rely on pheromones to lay down a scent trail. So the whole colony knows where to find the best food. Pheromones aren't the only way ants communicate, but they're clearly pretty stinky important. If you'd like to learn more about the sensational ways animals communicate, you can check out the additional resources. Thanks for watching. See you next time!